Hey guys, Marco here, welcome back to another lesson. Today we're going to talk about something pretty cool, important, but also really scary. The dreadful music theory. Now, of course, guys, we can't really put all the music theory that you need in just one video, so I kind of put together the basic stuff that you need just to get started. We're going to start with the music alphabet, and then the scales, and then the intervals and chords, and more. Now in the description down below you will also find all the other music theory videos that I recorded in the past, so if you want to know more about music theory, check the description down below. Now we have a lot to cover, guys, so let's get started. Step number 1, the music alphabet. Music is a language, and if we want to learn how to speak the music language, we have to learn the music alphabet. Now the cool thing is that the music alphabet is only made up of 7 letters, which we call notes. The note A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Of course, guys, we can play these 7 notes anywhere we want on the guitar or the piano or any other instrument. But the cool thing is that on the guitar, the 5th string open is actually the note A, which is the first note of the music alphabet. And in this example, I want to show you how to play the music alphabet on just one string, which is the 5th string open, so that we can visualize it on a straight line. So of course the 5th string open is the note A, and then we have the note B, C, D, E, F, G, and then we start again from the note A. And so on. Now the first thing that we notice right away is that the notes of the music alphabet correspond to the white keys of the piano. In fact, we didn't strike any of the black keys. Now, what are the black keys and how do we play the black keys of the piano on the guitar? Well, if we take a closer look at the guitar, we realize that there are empty frets between the note A and B, between C and D, there is another empty fret, between D and E, between F and G, and between G and A. So we have 5 empty frets. For this reason, we can say that the music alphabet is made of 7 natural notes, but also 5 altered notes. Now the altered note can come with either a sharp or a flat. The sharp makes the note higher in pitch, and so it would always take the name from the note before. For example, A sharp, B. Now between C and D, we're gonna call this a C sharp. Between E and E, we're gonna call this note a D sharp. Between the note F and G, we're gonna call this F sharp. And between G and A, we're gonna call this note G sharp. Now the altered note can also come with a flat, which will of course be played in the same fret. So the flat makes the note lower in pitch, and so it will always take the name from the note ahead. And so for this reason, the fret between the note A and B can be called either A sharp or B flat. And so same thing for the note between the note C and D, we can call it C sharp, but also D flat. Same thing with the D sharp, it could be also called E flat. And same thing with the F sharp, we can also call it G flat. And for the note between G and A, it could be G sharp, but also A flat. When the note has a different name but shares the same sound, it's called enharmonic. Of course, guys, we just realized that it's very simple to find the notes on the piano. I mean, white keys, natural notes, black keys, altered notes. On the guitar, it's a little bit more challenging because we don't have such a simple structure. In fact, each string is a different note, and so, for example, the D string open starts with the note D, so we're gonna start from a different point of the music alphabet, and so we will have D, then D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, and so on. And so of course it will take a little bit more time to learn how to play the notes on the guitar. Now I already know what you are about to ask, because it's kind of a legit question, right? Is the music alphabet a scale? Well, the thing is, A scale is a progression of notes that sound good together. And the reason why they sound so good together is because they follow a unique interval structure. Now we're going to talk about interval and interval structure in a moment. For now, let's just focus on the sound of the scale. For example, if I play the notes of the music alphabet, we have now, this progression of notes sound quite melancholic and sad. In fact, we will call this the A natural minor scale. So the natural notes of the music alphabet give you the minor natural scale, or even just the minor scale. In this case, the A natural minor scale. Now, to make it look more like a scale, we can add a Roman numeral, a degree to each note of the scale. So we have first, second, third degree, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth degree. Now the cool thing is that for each minor scale there is a relative major scale that starts from the third degree of the minor scale. So if we play the same notes starting from the note C, we end up with a major scale. Now the first note of the scale is called the root note and is the note that is going to give the name to the scale. And so this is a C major scale. Of course, it's a major scale. It sounds bright and happy and positive. So the music alphabet already gave us two scales, but there is another one coming, the chromatic scale. The chromatic scale combines the natural and the altered notes. So we're basically playing a scale with 12 notes, like this. Now the character of the chromatic scale is quite ambiguous. It doesn't sound major or minor. It's not happy or sad. It's more like, tense and uncertain, just like a spinning hurricane. So we just realized that the music alphabet gives you 3 different scales. Of course, we want to learn the interval structure of a scale, but before we do that, we have to learn more about the intervals. It's time to talk about intervals. The interval is the distance between 2 notes. It is measured with an ordinal number, interval of a first, interval of a second, interval of a third, and so on. And this number is determined by the number of notes that are found between the 2 notes. Now let me give you a practical example. The interval between the notes C and D is an interval of a second because there are only 2 notes. The note C, which we can call the root note, and the note D, which we can call the target note. Now the interval between the notes C and E, for example, is a third because there are 3 notes. The root note C, we go through the note D, and then the target note is the note E, which is the third note. Same thing for the other intervals. The interval between the note C and F is a fourth. There are 4 notes between the C and the F. Between C and G is a fifth. Between C and A is a sixth. And between C and B is a seventh. Between C and C, we call this an octave. Of course, guys, I'm playing these notes on just one string, but the interval applies to also the other strings. For example, the interval between C and E, it's still a third, whether we play it on just one string or on 2 strings. Now, it would be so cool if we could just wrap these up and say, you learned the intervals. Well done, guys. However, unfortunately, it's not how it works. We need a little bit more of information. In fact, if you think about it, we learned that the interval between the notes C and D is a second, right? But what about the interval between C and D flat, for example? I mean, this is still a second. We're still going from C to D flat. There's still just two notes. So what's the difference now between C to D flat and C to D? Well, the thing is, we need to add a piece of information next to the interval's name, and this information could be major, minor, perfect, augmented, or diminished. Now we can break down these intervals into two families. So the interval of a second, third, sixth, and seventh will always be either major or minor, and the interval of a fourth and a fifth can be perfect, augmented, or diminished. Now, to make things easy, we can say that the interval can also be measured by the number of frets that are found between the two notes. For example, the interval between the notes C and D is a major second because it's a distance of 2 frets. So from the root note, we count fret number 1 and then the fret number 2, which is the target note. Now, the major second can also be called the tone or the whole step. We can transform a major second into a minor second by simply lowering the major second 1 fret down, so from C to D flat. Now we call this a minor second, which is the distance of just 1 fret from the root note to the target note, just 1 fret. We can call this a semitone or a half step. Now let's keep going. The interval between the notes C and E is a major third, which is the distance of 1, 2, 3, 4 frets. Of course, we bring the E down to the E flat, and we call this a minor third, which is the distance of 1, 2, and 3 frets. Now, the interval between C and F is a fourth. We call this a perfect fourth, which is the distance of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets. And the interval between C and G is a fifth. We call this a perfect fifth, which is the distance of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 frets. C to A is a major sixth, which is 9 frets. And C to A flat is a lovely minor sixth. And then we have C to B, which is a major seventh, which is 11 frets. And C to B flat is a minor seventh, which is 10 frets. And of course, guys, the octave between C to C is 12 frets. Now, I think this is really probably the easiest way to, analyze an interval. Just count the number of frets found between the two notes. Now, guys, it's really important that you take it step by step when it comes to intervals, because sometimes things can get a little bit messy and confusing. For example, the interval between C and E flat. We learned that this is a minor third, right? And we know that, we learned that, and it's cool. However, the E flat can also be called F double flat. We don't even want to talk about that. It could also be called a D sharp. Now, of course, this is the same note. So D sharp and E flat is the same note, right? It has the same sound. However, we can't call this a minor third anymore because it's a second. C to D is a second, and C to D sharp is an augmented second. So as you can see, we're kind of going into these augmented diminished intervals. We're not really going to use them that much, so we're going to stick with the major, minor, and perfect for now. Now that we finally learned what an interval is and how to name the intervals, we can finally learn the interval structure of a scale. Now, this is a quite important topic because knowing the interval structure of a scale is going to allow you to reproduce any scale that you want. Now, the interval structure of a scale is the relationship between the root note of the scale. If we take the C major scale as an example, the root note will be the note C. So it's the relationship between the root note and the other notes. For example, C to D, C to E, C to F, C to G, C to A, C to B, and C to C. But also the relationship between each single degree of the scale. So the interval between C and D, D and E, E and F, F and G, G and A and B, and B and C. Now, the interval structure of a major scale is very simple because we only have major and perfect intervals. In fact, C to D is a major second, C to E is a major third, C to F is a perfect fourth, and C to G is a perfect fifth. C to A is a major sixth, and C to B is a major seventh. And then we have the octave C to C. Now the interval structure between the notes of the scale is going to be measured with only the semitone and the tone, so only with a minor second and a major second. In fact, C to D is a tone, D to E is a tone, E to F is a semitone, F to G is a tone, G to A is a tone, A to B is a tone, and B to C is a semitone. Notice that there is no sharp O flat between E and F and B and C. This is in fact a natural semitone. Now the cool thing is that once we know the interval structure of the major scale, we can build the same scale starting from a different root note. So for example, starting from the note G, I will have to follow the interval structure. So I will have tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 and semitone. So I have G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. In this case, for the G major scale, we had to use the F sharp to match the interval structure. And so that's the reason why all the other scales, apart from the C major scale, will be played either with sharps or flats. Of course, we can do the same thing with the minor scale. For example, the A natural minor scale. A to B is a major second, A to C is a minor third, A to D is a perfect fourth, and A to E is a perfect fifth. A to F is a minor sixth, and A to G is a minor seventh. And then we have the octave A to A. And this is the interval structure between the notes of the scale. Tone, semitone, tone, tone, semitone, tone, tone. Now, if you are still here, guys, you're still here with me, then really well done, because we talked about so many different things. We still have one step to go. We're going to talk about chords. Well, chords come from scales. For example, the C major scale is going to generate a bunch of chords. Now, let's try to be a little bit more specific. Each degree of a scale, it could be a major scale, a minor scale, a melodic minor, harmonic minor. Let's just talk about the C major scale. Each note of the C major scale is going to generate a chord. So the very first step, you lay down the C major scale. So we have the note C, the note D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. Now this is the C major scale. Now each degree of the scale is going to give me a chord. Now the most simple chord in music is only made up of 3 notes. We call it a triad. Now of course, each scale's degree can be the root note of a chord. We already learned that. Now let's take the C as the example. The C is going to be our root note. This is our first note. We need 2 more notes. The third, which is found of course 2 notes above, which is the note E, and then the fifth, which is the note G. So in order to make this C chord, we're gonna need the note C, which is the root note, the third, which is the note E, and the fifth, which is the note G. And in order to make it a chord, we have to play these 3 notes simultaneously, like this. So we have C, E, and G. So now when I play it, I have the C chord. Now, is this C a C major or a C minor? And what's the difference between a major and a minor chord? Well, it's very simple. The major chord will have the root note, the major third, and the perfect fifth. The minor chord will have the root note, the minor third, and the perfect fifth. So the difference between the major and the minor chord is really the third. So the distance between C and E is a major third, therefore this is a major chord. If I play C, E flat, and G, let me just change this one to an E flat. C, E flat, and G. Now I transformed the note E into an E flat, so I have root note, minor third, and perfect fifth. Therefore, this is a C minor chord, and you can hear the difference. A minor chord sounds sad and melancholic. The major chord, major and happy. Now, the cool thing is that each scale's degree can generate a chord, and we can use the same system. So the second note, which is the note D, can be the root note of a chord. Then we need its third, so we're gonna go 2 notes up. We need the F, and then the fifth, which is 2 notes up, and we have the note A. So root note, third, and fifth. So this chord is D, F, and A. Now from the sound, we already kind of hear that it's a minor chord. In fact, guys, if we analyze the interval structure of this chord, we will have the root note and then the F. So D to F is a minor third, and then D to A is a perfect fifth. Now let me write down all the chords. Now as you can see, guys, I already wrote down all the chords. Now we have the C major chord, the D minor, the note E is going to generate an E minor chord, F, F major, G, G major. The note A is going to give us an A minor chord, and the note B, the B diminished chord. Now the B diminished chord is a chord made of 3 notes, of course. We have the root note, the minor third, and the diminished fifth. Let me play these chords. We can definitely say now that the C major scale generates 7 chords, and the cool thing, guys, is that once you learn this structure, it'll be the same for any other major scale. For example, if we want to do the same thing with the G major scale, we just have to lay down the notes of the G major scale. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. Now, each one of these notes is going to generate a chord, and guess what? The structure, the chord structure is the same. So we have the first chord as a major chord, the second chord will be a minor chord. So we have G major, A minor, B minor, the third chord is a minor chord, so a B minor chord. The fourth chord is a major chord, so this is a C major chord, and then a D major, E minor, F sharp diminished, and back to the G major chord. Now let me grab my guitar and let me show you how to play these chords. So let's play the chords that belong to the C major scale. Of course, if we only have to play the 3 notes that make up the chord, we will end up with the C major played like this, the D minor, the E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, and C major again. Of course, guys, these triads are nice to play, but they're not really that practical. And so for these reasons, guitar players came up with better chords, more practical chords to play, such as the C major, for example. Played like this. So you have the 3 notes of the chord, of course, C, E, and G, but also the C again and the E again. So we are repeating some of the notes of the chord. Same thing for any other open chord. G major, A minor, you have A, E, A, C, and E. So of course, guys, you want to familiarize with the triads, but at the same time, you also want to make sure that you learn the open chords, which are easy to play and a little bit more practical. That was quite of a journey indeed, right? We covered so many different things, so many different topics. So make sure that you take it step by step, guys, especially if you're not familiar with music theory. Of course, guys, you want to keep things really practical. So for example, once you learn the interval structure of a scale, just try to build more scales. Try to play more scales so that you can not only understand the theory behind the scale, but also playing it on the guitar. And of course, guys, I'm going to link all the music theory videos that I already recorded in the description down below. Now I'm going to leave you practicing all the things that we talk about in this video. Take it step by step, enjoy this lesson, and I'll see you soon.